Hi, I'm Robert Shalide, Chief of Police for Shelby Township, and welcome to Straight Talk. Today we have two guests, two of our star employees. First is Brandon Dowdy. He's an evidence tech. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Second of all, Brett London, one of our superstar dispatchers. And we have him on for two different reasons. First of all, we have Brett on to talk about an amazing thing that happened in a dispatch center last week, where we got a phone call from a husband, a panicking husband, that his wife was getting ready to deliver a baby. So Brett and I will discuss that in a few minutes. And then Brandon is on the show to talk about our evidence tech program. What you see on TV, you watch CSI and all these different amazing things that police can do, or at least we think they can do, and we're going to talk about reality and what Shelby Township Police Department does. So, boys, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Brandon, we'll start with you. And let's talk a little bit about, well, first of all, how long have you been a police officer?
I'm in my 9th year, sir.
Okay, and then how long have you been an evidence tech?
I'm in my 7th year.
Okay. Did you test to be an evidence tech, or is it an interview process? How did it go back then?
Well, back then, no. It was an interview process. You have to go through an evidence tech school, which is a 2-week program. It's just a basic school, and then it's a lot of additional training afterward. Okay. And then it's more of a performance standard once you get out on the road and you start teching scenes. They want to evaluate you and make sure that you're performing to meet the standard for the department.
Okay. And so some of the equipment you take around with you on a daily basis, you take around obviously a camera, probably the most important thing, packaging to put stuff away in. Why don't you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, we have, as you mentioned, the camera. That's the #1 thing. If you can't gather the evidence, you want to be able to document it in some way. So the camera is the #1 and most important item that we have in the car. But we also have fingerprinting, various fingerprinting items that I can cover later on in the program. But we have special lighting systems in case we're at a criminal sexual conduct case or something of that, where we have to look for evidence that is something that you can't technically see with the naked eye. You want to use an alternate light source.
Okay.
We have all kinds of items that are readily available if we need it.
How often are you trained on your equipment?
Oh, we train quarterly through our department, and then we all go through additional training. We put ourselves through the training, we sign up for it, and it's extensive.
Accident investigation?
A lot of accident investigation training. We have to process everything. That's part of the quarterly training, is we make sure that we can use the total station, which is what's measured to survey the scene and gather the evidence as accurate as we possibly can.
Okay. I know that since I was a detective back several years ago, things have even changed with the DNA. Now we have, I think it's pronounced the mitochondrial DNA. Is that right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Sounds right.
Close
yeah,
enough?
Close.
And we have amazing new ways and techniques of retrieving DNA from scenes. Can you talk a little bit about it?
You can, most of the time when you are looking for these items, you want to make sure that you are thorough and you're not tampering with the evidence in any way, shape, or form. So if you're seeing blood and you're suspected blood, you're going to use swabs, DNA swabs, which are kind of like cotton swabs, but it's a special form of cotton that they know doesn't have any trace DNA on it from some factory worker where you're getting the item. And you're going and you're going to gather that evidence first. And then you can use these additional items like Blue Star and other areas where you can shine this spray on the scene to see if there's any other parts that may have been potentially cleaned up. And what that does is the Blue Star is you turn the lights off and you spray this item on it, and it'll cause presence of blood to glow in the dark. And it's an excellent tool for us when we're trying to gather whether someone was trying to clean up the scene after the fact.
Okay. Now, I walked in here a few minutes ago. I sat down here. If I get up and walked out here right now, would you be able to get my DNA?
Yes, absolutely.
How would you do it?
I would be using tape. I'd be looking for hair. I'd be looking for any other indication that I could find. And really, you're going to be leaving skin cells all over the place.
Okay.
And everyone does that. So there's ways you can vacuum with a special vacuum that has a filter on it. You can just vacuum your seat, for instance, and I can gather all the DNA evidence from whoever had sat on that.
So back in the day when CSI was popular and people were watching this stuff.
I think it still is popular.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm a little bit out of touch with that. But so there is some semblance of truth to some of the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the DNA recovery and everything, and the different methods and everything. Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you in a moment. Brett, let's start with you, the man with the silver voice, the voice that everyone hears but nobody sees because you're the star behind the show. coordinate everything, getting the officers home safe each night, and they're greatly appreciative, as I am. I want you to know that right now. So I know last week we had something kind of crazy happen. You got a phone call, and did you take the call yourself? Or
Yes.
Okay, walk us through it.
It was, well, I mean, I had just gotten to work. I think the call came in around 6:15, so, you know, settling in for the night, and got the call. The father, I could definitely tell there was something going on in the father's voice.
My wife is like having a baby like right now. Like we're not driving to the hospital.
So I asked him, I wasn't sure at the time, I asked him, you know, is the baby coming out now, or is she, you know, what's going on? And he said that the baby wasn't coming out, and he needed to get an ambulance.
Okay, all right, I got an ambulance on the way right now. How old is she?
She's 26.
Okay. And how far along is she?
She's 9 months. She's having a baby.
Okay.
Baby's 2.
Okay.
My partner started the ambulance off, and I was just making sure that mom was comfortable. And I mean, they were really close to the fire department, but then he said the head was coming out.
If you start seeing the baby come out, let me know, and we're going to start going through delivering the child, all
She's
right?
having a baby. The baby's like coming out.
Okay, is it head first?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, okay, all right, sir.
She's having a baby.
Okay.
Okay, so what's going on through your mind when this is going on?
Let's do this. I mean, you know, we train in dispatch for all different types of, you know, scenarios, and, you know, people are calling us in an absolute panic sometimes, so we have to be the, you know, the silver voice to just kind of keep a mellow tone and get them through it. This was my first delivery. I've been dispatching for about 8 or 9 years, and this was the first time I did a live birth on the phone. So.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Listen to me very carefully, okay?
Yes.
All right. Get ready to catch the baby, okay?
I'm catching the baby, but the baby's like blue and not looking great.
That's okay. Is the cord wrapped around his head at all?
No.
Okay, just have her push, and when the baby's shoulders come out,
Yeah?
when the baby's shoulders come out, just be there to catch it, and then keep telling her to push and have him
Okay,
come out.
push, baby, push.
I was having him paint me a picture so I knew if the baby was coming out breech or regular. Fortunately, it was coming out head first.
Okay.
The cord wasn't obstructed, so I basically told him, I said, get ready to catch the baby, and he did. He caught
Was she in the bed?
You know, she was in the, I believe, in the kitchen or living room. She was actually, I didn't know this on the phone, but she was actually standing up.
Okay.
And so he was just kind of, you know.
Is that, okay, wait a second. Is this a technique, a birth technique? Or?
No, when some labors, it's actually uncomfortable for the mom to be laying down in a traditional birthing position. A lot of home births, the moms are either on all fours or standing up because they get a lot of pain in their sciatic, and that causes a lot of pressure.
Did they know that they were going to have a home birth? I mean,
No, this was completely not planned.
So did she know she wanted to have the baby standing up?
She had said, and from the other news interview I saw, that was the most comfortable position because she was in so much pain from the contractions.
Okay.
So that was just the position that instinct kind of took over in that. So.
I remember when my first child was born, I almost fainted. Okay, I almost fainted. I couldn't imagine having to sit there and catch a flying baby.
Yeah, he did. I don't know if he played football in high school, but he caught her. So.
I'm here. Oh, I caught the baby. The baby.
All right. The baby's out?
Yeah.
When you said make sure you catch the baby, where did that come from?
Well, just because during birth, I mean, if the mom's pushing, the baby can come out rather quickly. So you want to be down there and kind of support the head and kind of bring the shoulder out.
Okay.
So I was just letting him know because he had said the head's coming out, and then he said the shoulders are coming. I said, okay, get ready. You know, I said catch it.
Can you hear the mom in the background?
Oh yeah, she was going through labor for sure.
Okay. Who were you working with?
At that, what was it? Mike was working, Mike Duvall.
Okay.
And he was doing a good job coordinating police and fire to get them on the way, while I was coaching the dad on what to do. So.
Who got to the house first, the police or the fire?
The fire department did. They actually were on scene in about 4.5 minutes, but we had already delivered the baby and wrapped it up and had her ready to go. That's how fast the baby came out. She was not waiting for anybody.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you on behalf of the family and the police department. That's fantastic news for our residents. We have these kind of skilled employees that do something like that. I'm very proud of you. I want you to know that.
Well, thank you very much.
Brandon, how would you handle that?
I don't know. That's stressful, no doubt. I would probably be hoping for some instructions from my dispatcher too. But I would just try and walk the family through it and just have them work on their concentrating on your breathing and making sure that we're able to make sure to catch that baby whenever it comes out.
And people can actually hear the drama in the background and everything like that, or not in the background, but the intense drama. So you had to feel pretty good about yourself after it was over, huh?
Yeah, it was definitely really good to kind of go home after that one. So many times we deal with a lot of people that call and they're at their worst day, and it's glad that everything came out happy, and they brought, as far as I know, the baby's healthy, and they already took her home, and so they got another member of their family. So
now, do you have your own children?
Yes, I have a son. He's going to be 5 here in June. So.
Okay, so your wife must have been thrilled to hear this news, huh?
Oh yes, she was husband bragging about me all over to her friends. So
that's great. That's great. I have so many questions I want to ask right now. I'm chuckling to myself. Well, what did they name the baby? Do you happen to know?
Zelda.
Okay. Well, they should have named it something related to you.
Well,
right.
I had not on the phone, of course, but maybe it made the suggestion of at least a BR in it, for Brett or Bettina, or I don't know. I mean, I'm glad in the end that everything went well for sure. But,
of course.
I mean, it would be.
How did the fire department handle it? When they got there, were you in touch with them on the police radio or the fire radio?
I was still on the phone with the dad. I know they came in and just kind of stabilized the mom and the baby to make sure their vitals were okay. The baby actually came out a little blue and not crying, so I was. You'll hear on the tape trying to get him to stimulate the baby to get her to cry. So
she's not crying or anything, though.
Okay, is the cord? Is
No.
the cord? Where's the cord at?
The cord is not wrapped around her neck. The cord's just connected to her belly.
Okay, put the baby on her chest.
Put the baby on her chest.
Yep. Get a towel.
Get a towel. Got a towel.
See if you can flick its toes,
Flick
or
its toes.
try to get it to make some noise. Is its face clear?
Noise.
Good.
It's
Good.
It looks
Flick
okay.
it. Keep flicking its feet. Is there any mucus in its face?
Is there mucus in its face? Oh, she's making a little bit of noise.
with the fire department, they were aces. They got there, stabilized mom and baby, and transported them to the hospital. I talked to them after they got to the hospital, and they said the baby was crying in the rig, and the vitals were stable, and everything was good. So
that's great. That's a great story. I loved it. Brandon, you ever have anything like that happen to you? Anything close?
I have not. We have a lot of hospitals nearby that makes my job a lot easier.
Okay.
And fortunately, with the fire department having our own department with the jurisdiction, it helps with them and response times too. It would be an awesome experience. I'd love to experience something like that, but at the same time, I think delivering a baby in a hospital is probably a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think you're a better man than I am, because I'm glad I haven't had to do something like that. I would be totally horrified if I had to do it. I mean, obviously, would rise to the occasion and do it, but I don't think I would get pleasure out of it. I think I would be a little bit freaked out, if that makes any sense.
I'd definitely be freaked out too. I think we have mutual feelings on that.
Brandon, you brought us some items today to show our residents some of the different things you do, some of your tools. Mm-hmm. Can you show us first? I see you have the fingerprint lifter.
Yes, so we have, I'm sure a lot of people who watch this show probably watch CSI, and they know standard fingerprinting, dusting for fingerprints, and you use the standard dust and you'll lift the prints. And typically what you would use are these hinge lifters. Or a special tape, but these hinge lifters are very hard on one side, so you can tell it's like a little bit not really good for harder materials or curved surfaces. Okay. So if you have like a doorknob or something like a golf ball where it's a tough structure to lift a fingerprint, you have to use something like microsil, which is a casting material that you use, and what it does is it will you can place it over like pry marks on a door. If someone were to break into someone's house, you can gather that those pry marks with this casting material, but you can also use it for lifting prints. So what I did on this to gather this golf ball earlier before this session, I used super glue fumigation, which is you're actually heating up super glue, and you put your evidence item in a chamber, and the super glue fumes actually adhere to the fingerprint. And then once I had that, I put dust over the fingerprint and I enhanced it with just dust so I can see if I actually had evidence there. And then I put the microsill on top of it to try and gather it. So when you lift the print, you can see the ridges pretty well. I don't know if the camera will capture it, but you can actually see my fingerprint in there.
Perfect.
I don't know if it's
Yes, I see.
probably hard, but yeah, you can easily see along with the ridges. It's another technique that we use for gathering evidence at a scene.
Okay, that's incredible. Back in 2000, I'm sorry, not 2000, I think it was like 1996, 1997, we had a serial rapist running around Southfield, and I was a lead detective. And this guy was, really slick. He was climbing balconies. He was wearing a mask and gloves, and then he was using duct tape and leaving, back then, behind no evidence, nothing we can use. Well, the first piece of evidence we got, there was 4 different attacks. He left a Deodora footprint in the ground. Now, it didn't say Deodora. We just knew we had a good footprint, and then they did the casting, just like you're talking about right now. They made full casts of these prints. So when we actually got a suspect and got a search warrant for his house, I found the pair of tennis shoes in his closet, and I turned them over, and the tennis shoes, I had a picture of the print, the casting, okay? And I was able to look right at it. I was like, okay, bingo, we got him, okay? Now, I want to tell you something interesting. When we got to trial, the scientist from the Michigan State Police couldn't say with all certainty that that was his shoe, okay? Now, I'm trying to put this dangerous person, extremely dangerous individual, away in prison for the rest of his life where he belonged, okay? I'm not a rocket scientist myself or a state police scientist, but it was obvious that this was a shoe. She would not commit to it was a shoe. She said, all I can tell you, this is she's testifying to, all I can tell you is that there's nothing that shows me that it's not the shoe, okay? Brandon, have you ever experienced a situation like that in court, or do you understand where the scientist was coming from?
Yes, I can understand to an extent it being difficult for a scientist to testify saying that that is indeed the shoe. When you have DNA evidence or fingerprint evidence, it's a lot easier to identify a suspect. When it's just a tennis shoe, you're talking about an item. Most tennis shoe soles are rubber. They can be, you can go through a pattern where you're walking over the same thing as a suspect, as the other person. You could be walking and doing the exact same thing, and you can have the same striations and tears and rocks that are stuck in the shoe that are creating doubt in the court's eyes. And it doesn't give a scientist 100% certainty that that was indeed the shoe that the suspect was wearing.
Okay, thank you. Brett, let's jump back to you. As you stated earlier, you've been a dispatcher for a long time, 8 years. You were actually the first person that I hired when I was a new chief back a couple years ago. And I'm very proud of that hire. I want you to know that right now. One of the most solid hires we've had. I think I've hired 10 or 11 people so far, and you were the first one. You're doing a fantastic job for us. But you brought with you some experience from the state police, correct?
Yes, yep.
And you're a dispatcher down there for about 6 years?
I was actually with the state police for about 3, and then before that I was with Utica Police Department is where I kind of got started dispatching. So. Okay.
All right, so tell us about something else crazy that's happened besides you delivering baby over the radio.
Well, two that jumped to mind instantly was I was on the radio these were both MSP stories, but my longest chase I ever had was 55 minutes. I was the main dispatcher on the radio. The troopers were chasing a guy. It started in Royal Oak Township and ended in Marysville. Okay. So that was a enduring chase that went on for a while. We went through 2 counties, and we had when we got into Macomb County, we had Clinton Township, Macomb County. They both had set up like spikes to try to take the tires out. The guy was a known. He was paranoid, schizophrenic. He had a lot of medical issues. The troopers that were chasing him were familiar with him, and he did have some violent tendencies, but tonight he just didn't want to cooperate and stop. So
that's incredible. 55 minutes. Did you save a copy of the tape for yourself for long?
I think my old supervisor has it. I didn't actually get a chance to get it on USB or anything like that, but she has it somewhere, so I'll have to see if I can find it. But
okay, so that's the first thing that jumps to your mind is the long chase, 55
yeah,
minutes?
I mean, it was long. I mean, going priority for that long is definitely taxing, and then you're coordinating and dispatch. Because down there I had 4 other partners, so we're coordinating with other jurisdictions, trying to get out ahead of the chase to get barricades set up, and just all bring everything together so we can get this guy off the road.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was about I believe 2 in the morning, so there wasn't a lot of people on the road, so we were able to keep them safe, which is why I believe the post commander let the chase continue on, because there was no real danger to citizens, but we knew we needed to get this guy off the road.
You probably have one of the most underappreciated, undervalued jobs in law enforcement, the dispatchers. We try to take great care of our dispatchers at the police department.
You do. I mean, it's definitely evidence.
I noticed our commanders treat the dispatchers, officers. I remember one time back recently, somebody wore something that somebody didn't like or whatever, and Deputy Chief came and talked to me about it and said, they're in a room, they don't have to deal with the public, they have an extremely taxing job, okay? Send a message down to leave them alone, okay? They don't have windows, you know what I mean? And just leave them alone. And D.C. Coyle had a smile on his face, and he went out and carried out my order, and very confident in that order, as you can imagine, you know what I mean? Like, don't mess with you guys, you know, and we appreciate what you do for us. Anything else you want to mention about things that have happened that you jumped your mind where, spectacular you want to tell the residents about?
No, I mean, the birth was definitely the shining moment here in my career, so we'll see if we can get another one here in the next 20 years while I'm still here.
Have you had to deal with any shootings?
We've had several shots fired calls at my previous job.
Okay.
We've had tankers explode on the expressway, overpasses catch on fire. I one time sort of comically had a chicken wing semi rollover and spilled about, God, I don't even know how many pounds it was, but I don't think Buffalo Wild Wings got their chicken supply in because there was wings all over the freeway. We actually had to close 75 down because the semi overturned, and there was Buffalo Wild Wings all over the freeway.
Brett, do you miss a little bit more high pace than out here?
It's different. We have our moments out here. Downtown, there was definitely something going on every day. But I miss my coworkers down there because I had a really good crew. But I do like I'm from Shelby. I was born and raised here, and I do like being on the home team. So it's nice to be in my community, working for my community, and that was one of the key reasons why I chose to come up here and be a dispatcher here.
And we're glad to have you. Brandon, let's jump back to you. What else do you have for us?
That's everything I covered on this for the items I brought in today.
Okay. Tell us about some of the scenes you've had, taxing scenes where you had to be there and you knew you had to bring your A game because prosecution was critical on your work. Can you talk to us a little bit about one of the scenes?
I've had a couple incidents where I've had to make sure that I've covered all bases, and one of the most taxing one was the most recent case with the tiramisu incident, where there was two competing businesses at 23 and Shaner, and one of the owners wasn't really happy with the other owner expanding his business. He went to the scene and he decided he was going to threaten him, and he ended up seriously assaulting him. And I was in charge of documenting the evidence of what happened, the extent of injuries that happened to this victim at the scene. And by doing that, I was very thorough with my photography at the hospital. And when I got to the scene, I was processing it as I was making sure that I was gathering any evidence that would show that this competitor was coming to the business. And I was trying to show any route that I could to link him to the scene. And it was very difficult because given the circumstances, there wasn't much that I can play with. There wasn't much evidence that was to be gathered other than DNA evidence from the victim. And it was very taxing. Fortunately, we did get a prosecution on it, but it was very stressful, and it was just went to show how difficult these crime scenes can be with actually gathering evidence.
I understand.
we have, I mean, statistically speaking, there's only 2% of crime scenes where there is evidence that can be gathered other than photography. And then with that 2%, only 6% of it can be processed by the MSP crime lab. And then of that 6%, there's only 12% that's actually used to link a suspect to a crime. It's a very, very small standard that we can work with, but we're going to keep doing what we can to make sure that we can at least find something to help victims get the justice that they deserve.
Very important position you're in, and we appreciate how you handle it with great responsibility. Thank you. Real quickly before we end the program, I want to talk a little bit about a few of the different insignias on your uniform. I see you have the True Team insignia,
yes, sir.
Tactical Response Unit. You want to point that out for the residents?
Right here.
Yep. And then so talk a little bit real quickly about our True Team.
We're part of the Tactical Response Unit. We're a team. We're not SWAT, but we are a unit that are working together to perform the duties when we're going to a raid. For instance, we're going to a drug raid and we're going to hit a house and execute a search warrant. We have a team that we've compiled that we will gather all of our skills and we will execute that search warrant as safely as we possibly can and make sure that we can preserve the evidence so the suspect doesn't potentially destroy drugs or something. Okay. It's an excellent team to be on because it helps me with building my skills, and also it's a lot safer for our officers when we have a team that works together and we're not just pulling guys off the road and doing the job.
Fantastic. And the next one is at your honor guard?
This is actually a field training officer.
I'm sorry, I can't see over there. Field training officer. So you teach our young officers, get them acclimated to the township, the way we do stuff.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it for almost 2 years now.
Okay. And then the bottom one?
That's for years of service.
Okay, so you're not on the honor guard.
I am on the honor guard, but policy only lets me put 2 pins on there.
We're going to have to fix that. Brandon, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Brett, thank you very much. You guys are both superstar employees. We're glad to have you, and carry on. You've been watching Straight Talk. We'll see you next month.